Hey guys, SnarkyGuy here, and yeah, let's try something a little new. Today we're going to try and grab a little 360 video on an otherwise chilly day here in Shanghai. It's about 6 degrees Celsius today, which, for those of you still on the imperial system, would be about 42 degrees Fahrenheit, thus necessitating the thick jacket and gloves. Of course, Shanghai recently instituted a mandatory helmet law for those of us zipping around on battery-powered scooters, so you'll notice I've jazzed mine up with fakey Italian Vespa helmet goggles that totally don't work. Amazing, right? Up ahead of me here you see a water truck. These things are pretty amazing too, in that they are pretty much ordered to operate all days of the year. So any time of the year, rain, shine, even snow, these guys are tooling around, spreading water everywhere, which sometimes does wash the streets on days that it's raining or snowing. It just makes more trouble. But hey, that's the law, right? Gotta love it. Let's get back to the road. Speaking of the road, what's it like to scooter through Shanghai anyway? Well, normally I'd say it's somewhere between exhilarating and I just laid a brick in my underpants level frightening, seeing as the streets of Shanghai are rather busy. I'm on my way to lunch today at a little dive that'll take me about 45 minutes by metro, an hour by car or taxi, and let's just say I'll be collecting Social Security by the time I arrived if I took a bus. So my little battery-powered scooter is literally the fastest medium to get there. Sadly, most of the other 24 million inhabitants of Shanghai also share this little nugget of wisdom. Hence, the streets here in Shanghai are normally busier than a mosquito on a nudist beach. Except today, it's colder than a brass toilet seat in the Yukon. So the streets are curiously abandoned. Lucky me. That's not to say a mostly abandoned Shanghai road means a carefree driving experience. Oh no, far from it. As one rides, you still need to pay attention to each and every intersection as if your life depended on it. Because it does. But not for the reason you'd think. Yes, in a country where the average driver has almost certainly been driving for less time than Ben and Jerry's Chunky Monkey has been a thing, getting slapped around by an inexperienced automobile carries only second to getting sideswiped by another scooter, as quote-unquote professional scooter couriers are under the gun to make deliveries and quickly, and are therefore looking to game and cheat every red light in the system to save themselves a cool 42 seconds. That means you are not colleagues of the greater Shanghai Municipal Roadway. No, you, my friend, are a hurdle, an obstacle in their journey towards a quicker path to making their delivery. So a lot of cities develop these elaborate algorithms that measure a given road's speed, use, and overall traffic, and then they try to use it to time the traffic lights at various intersections so that, well, in theory, if you're going the same speed as everyone else, you should hit green lights at the next several intersections. Not Shanghai. Actually, it seems timed so that regardless of when you hit a red light previously, or even when you arrive on the road, you're pretty much guaranteed to hit a red light regardless. Isn't that something? Oh yeah, look at this. Another red light. Go figure. So to further illustrate my point, you'll notice coming up behind me here is the bus. Yes, this would be the same bus, number 96, I passed about 10 or 15 minutes ago, and if you sit long enough in traffic at a red light, he'll eventually catch up to you. Maybe. Now, the buses in Shanghai are wonderful. They're comfortable, air-conditioned, heated, and only 2 RMB is probably the best deal in town. However, if you do go to ride one, pay attention. You're riding for the comfort, you're riding for the convenience, not necessarily the speed. So if you do have to go somewhere fast, you'll want to do what I do. Take a scooter, or the metro, taxi, etc. Now you'll notice on this little sliver of road they've given us, I do tend to pass the same people and get passed by the same people over and over again, kind of leapfrogging our way forward due to the very small little section of road they've given us on a one-way traffic road. Fuxing Middle Road is only one direction, and that's fine, but you do need to pay attention again because you are a trout swimming upstream. So you'll want to be careful of traffic coming at you, and of course the sea and evil horde of other bikes and scooters as they make their way down the road. The menagerie of traffic in Shanghai is something you always want to pay attention to. You see, I'm at a green light right now, but I can't necessarily depend on just, sailing through. I have to look both ways. You notice that the little yellow delivery guy, the little Meituan driver I just passed a minute ago there, yeah, he's cutting right across, and he ain't stopping because he's got places to go, people to do, and deliveries to make. So you always want to pay attention all the time. Keep your head on a swivel, as they say. Of course, there are many roads you can ride a scooter on in Shanghai. Duh. But definitely you want to take the time and check the signs at any given intersection because many roads are designated as cars only, which of course giving the local popo the opportunity to find you should you stray off the beaten scooter path. Hey, it's a random little planet time! Woohoo! Thankfully, there are routes that extend the entire city that are, quote, scooter-friendly, such as the road I'm on right now, Fuxing Middle Road. It cuts a swath horizontally, east to west, all the way to the bund at the Huangpu River. Sadly, while the road does tunnel underneath the river, scooters aren't allowed this portion of the journey. At this point, it's either time to turn around or pay an additional 5 RMB to ride the ferry. Now, I do have to admit, the prospect of a chilly ride down the wrong way of a one-way Shanghai road does make one smile like a circus lion after his third Coca-Cola, but the constant stopping does rather sap the enjoyment factor just a bit. The fact of the matter is, it's just hard to get into the ride when the ride stops almost as soon as it starts. Sure, you occasionally get lucky and stumble on a green light or two, or perhaps on a day like today when there's less traffic than normal, but usually scooter driving in Shanghai can best be described as that psychedelic haze between not being quite awake and not really asleep. In fact, it'd be greatly enjoyable if not for that numb awareness you can't quite completely turn off the awareness aspect of your brain and surrender to the pure bliss aspect of riding. No funky ladies' mustache ride of an adrenaline rush. No getting freaky on the rug of scooting high. Nope. You're in Shanghai, and you gotta be aware at all times. And, yeah. We found ourselves another red light, didn't we? So here's where your pride checks in. Or, rather, checks out. Let me explain. You see, we all want to be first in life. The freaking Marco Polo at whatever we do. The first to kiss the pretty girl, the first to cross the finish line. So it's easy to get our own rhubarb rubbed just a bit when someone cuts us off. But this happens often in China. When getting on the metro or a bus or whenever you start out at the red light. It's not uncommon actually for some chump to cut you off and think nothing of it. The Chinese have a phrase, after all, that if you're not first, you're last. This aspect of thinking is actually understandable when you consider there's approximately 1.4 billion people in this country. So niceties like waiting for one's turn may not get favorable individual results. So yeah, when someone does cut you off, and they will, try not to take it personally. They didn't. Fact is, they're trying to achieve their own personal journey, and you weren't moving as fast. So, cutsies. It's all good. Consider that while someone may have gotten in front of you, most of the time, they didn't slow you down either. Now it's about this far into my ride, I started to notice my battery was getting a little wah, wah, wah. Yeah, that's one of the drawbacks of a battery-powered pony is limited range. And unlike a gas-powered steed, one can't simply pull in the petrol station and top up the battery. Likewise, even if I had my charge cable with me, which I don't, sitting around for the next, 4 or 5 hours just to get a few digital carats worth of charge down its neck isn't exactly conducive to timely travel. True enough, there are a few fast charge stations around town where one could pay around a few RMB, that's about 20 or 30 cents US, for a small percentage worth of battery oomph. But those are few and far between, and nowhere near my current location, so what's the solution? Well, hitting less red lights would be the best way to reserve battery, seeing as every time I stop and go, it causes the biggest strain on my battery. But of course, it being nearly freezing cold weather outside, it also tends to zap a battery faster than watching back-to-back beep beep I'm a sheep video playbacks on Douyin, China's TikTok. The only solution, therefore, is just to go slower. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it works. It does reduce the overall Shanghai scooting enjoyment factor, however. But hey, what can you do? So you see the dude up here wearing the traditional hat and the cleaning uniform? He seems quite determined, and that's one thing I really appreciate about Shanghai is, despite being one of the largest cities in the world, it's still a rather clean town. You'll notice that while the streets are a little less affluent today, yes, because it's cold, the street cleaners, they're still out and working. Then again, this area I'm turning into right now, Xiantiandi, it roughly translates from Chinese into New Heaven and Earth, and is one of the newer car-free shopping, entertainment, and upscale entertainment industries, or districts I should say, here in Shanghai. Upscale may be a little redundant because, truth be told, there isn't a lot of bargain-free shopping in Shanghai. It's all creme de la creme, but that doesn't necessarily mean pricey. Now, unfortunately, I've had to backtrack a little bit along the sidewalk to park my scooter because, well, here there is some parking, but in a lot of places, due to the sheer number of bikes in this town, often you'll arrive and find there's no bike parking or scooting anywhere. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and park my bike here. I just want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks a lot, guys. And just like that, we've reached the end of the video, which means you now have the opportunity to smash, wham, slam, and wallop that subscribe button, thus never again missing another SnarkyGuy video. And not too hard now, a keyboard is a terrible thing to waste. Click the bell icon to get notified, of course. In the meantime, here's a few more SnarkyGuy videos because
I know you're gonna dig this.